Yo, it's crazy that I should even have to say this, but Detroit Pistons fans have forgot about defense. I want to dive into that in this video. It is kind of crazy to me that Detroit Pistons fans, at least the ones that are engaging with my channel on these videos, they seem to have completely missed and done a whole 180, and now they're looking for like the Splash Brothers era or some high scoring, potential tandem. Look, I understand the excitement of offensive creation, getting buckets, right? Um, Splashing threes. I mean, I'm from the Bay Area, California, so I'm used to the Splash Brothers, right? I understand how amazing it is to see a team shoot efficiently from the 3 point line and be able to score at will and run up those scores to 120, 130 points in a game. I mean, look at the Indiana Pacers. Not only were they exciting, but it got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know that that seems like the route to go. And I understand it. But if we really take a look at young teams and how they generally progress, it is not offense that allows them to make the jump to become competitive within the NBA. It is their defense, their ability to lock down. Because most of defense is about effort. It is about attentiveness to detail, to your schemes, and effort. You don't have to develop ball handling skills and shooting acumen and how to come off screens and getting down offensive schemes when the defense is clamping down. You don't have to worry about half court management. You just have to worry about your level of dedication and energy to that side of the ball. And that is why most young teams are able to figure out how to excel there first before they begin to learn how to execute offensively and become great in that regard. Now, I know we have this whole Brandon Ingram potential trade scenario looming over the Detroit Pistons. Now, with the new president of basketball operations, Trajan Langdon, we'll see. I think Rod Beard said it best. He was like, wasn't Trajan Langdon Troy Weaver a few years ago? Like, wasn't he in the same position? Somebody was supposed to come in, take the reins, make the moves, and that was going to propel us into, winning basketball, right? And then we saw the owner um, basically step in the way, right? Brought in his coach, right? Wanted his moves made, and next thing we don't get to see Troy Weaver's full vision. He's got a bunch of extremely talented young guys without a developmental coach. And so they overpaid for a coach that wasn't really suited to coach this roster. So we'll see what they do. But everybody's looking at Brandon Ingram like he's supposed to be a savior. And I'm thinking, well, Cade Cunningham and Brandon Ingram play very similarly. They play a very similar style, half court basketball generally, kind of a smooth, slower scoring, methodical scoring athlete. And as a result, it begins to create this sort of scenario where there's a lot of overlap between what they do. Though I would say Cade is probably a better 3 point shooter. But all that's to say is that when you have a young team and you just start adding offense to it, it doesn't necessarily translate to more efficiency because the young guys still have to learn how to play within that system and learn the NBA game to become efficient and effective players, right? Asar Thompson is still going to have to learn. Jalen Duren is still going to have to learn, right? They have a curve. And so that's why my focus has been let's get great on defense. Let's dedicate ourselves there. Improve that transition offense that allows you to get easy baskets so you're not having to set up each time in the half court and then to begin to learn how to move the ball and get easy looks. Because I think, honestly, this Detroit Pistons team is going to have way more shooting than people realize. I think people saw segments of the season. Granted, overall, they did not have great shooting, they did not have great spacing. But it was more so because of a lack of continuity and players moving in and out of lineups, injuries, and such. But when you really look at this roster, Cade Cunningham, Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey project as really good shooters. They just do. They got great form, great confidence. They were good shooters in college. They're going to be good shooters in the NBA. And you saw when they had it going, they could really fill it up. And then you got guys like Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren, which are essentially at this point in their careers non-shooters, and that's fine. Isaiah Stewart actually shot above the NBA average. I think it was close to like 36, 37, 38% from the three-point line. And so when you think about the bench then coming in, well, Marcus Sasser, Quentin Grimes, above average three-point shooters. You got Simone Fontecchio, another far above average three-point shooter. So then you start saying like, oh, okay, well, you got six guys who will likely be above average three-point shooters next year. And with the continuity of a training camp and preseason, playing together, have an idea of the system and how they want to execute, they should have more than enough shooting. Look, when you look at the Orlando Magic, who took that jump, they didn't have great shooting. They had amazing defense, and that got them into the playoffs, right? Not in the play in, the playoffs. And I can't say that they're so much more talented than these Detroit Pistons, a little bit more seasoned, definitely more dedicated to what translates in defense. So then we look at the NBA draft coming up, and a lot of people are looking at Dalton Connect, right? They're looking at, some of the bigs, but the real person that I'm kind of looking at is one Ron Holland. And the reason why I'm looking at him is because what the Detroit Pistons lack the most, I would say, is not so much shooting as much as it is wing defensive depth. You know, you look at a team like the New Orleans Pelicans and who have Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and Dyson Daniels, and they just have this litany of wing defenders who can lock down. They're athletic, they have a good IQ on that end, they give great effort, they have length, quickness, lateral mobility, and they can really cause hell for opposing teams. When you look at the Detroit Pistons, they have one elite wing defender. One. Just one. And that's Asar Thompson. And he is as elite as they come. Now that he understands more of how guys will try to draw fouls on him to get him out the game, get him out the way, now he can gauge himself how much intensity, energy, closeness can I play and get away with now that the referees know I'm a great defender. So that I can maximize my ability to get stops and to hold great scores to their averages or under on bad efficiency while also not getting into foul trouble. And I also think he's going to be a beast in transition. He showed some playmaking, slashing, and ability to get to the rim. But all that's to say is that behind him, who do you have? The moment he went out the game, it was ugly. I mean, ugly. They had nobody. Quentin Grimes is probably the closest. And I know Jaden Ivey and Kate Cunningham at times will try to give effort, but they're still struggling to give effort. They're not lockdown defenders on the perimeter. They're guys you're trying to get to buy in to do that, right? This is the Shea Gilgis Alexander, right, and the Josh Giddies and the Stephen Currys and the guys who don't necessarily. This isn't really what they do, but they have the tools, and so you're asking of them to lead by example, right? To really rally the troops around. This is going to be our identity. These aren't the guys you want to be relying upon, especially when these are likely going to be your number one and number two scorers. You want to insulate them. And so the person I like in the draft is Ron Holland. And I love Ron Holland because Ron Holland has the ability at 6'7". I think he has like a 6'10" and a half, close to 6'11" wingspan. He's extremely athletic. He's not the 1%, but he's like the top 5%. Right? He's not the Paul George, LeBron James, but he's your DeMar DeRozan level athlete, right? Which is still really good, but he's amazing in transition. Is a real smooth athlete, can get above the rim, but he also has great energy and commitment on the defensive end. And when you look at those physical tools at about 6'7", 220, he almost looks like another Asar Thompson. Similarly, coming out of an alternative route into the NBA, these guys are a little bit more refined when it comes to the professional game. You saw Asar didn't have a hard time feeling confident at this stage. He didn't get there wondering if he was going to be athletic enough, strong enough. He was. And I think Ron Holland is going to have a similar type of a feel. Now, throw in the fact that Ron Holland has a really good mid-range game, a smooth-looking jump shot that should translate out to the three-point line. I mean, it really should. You look at his handle; it's strong enough. I mean, if you can beat up on a bunch of NCAA All Stars, you should be able to translate to the NBA, especially playing against bench role players as well, which essentially, for the most part, are G League All Stars or NCAA All Stars who translate to G League All Stars. All that's to say is Detroit, get back to the D. Pause. Get back to the defense, to what has made y'all great all along throughout your entire tradition of winning. Defense. I know you want shooting. I know you like Dalton Connect. I know you like Laurie Marketing. I know you like Brandon Ingram. But don't forget what actually gets you to the promised land, the defense. But as always, I want to know what you all think. Get at me in the comment section. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And I'm out. Peace.